Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Wolf and welcome to a little preview of a game called Jazon and the Dead. It's a bit of a weird way to spell Jason, but that's it's not a typo. That's the actual spelling for it. This is a game made by a company called Second Studio, or being made by a company called Second Studio. The preview has been available since the 10th of November 2016. This is basically in a pre-alpha, so it's sort of like a prototype. This isn't really the full game or anything, but I am playing on PC. I tried out this demo and I absolutely loved it. It's really short, but I liked what they demoed and thought it was worth showcasing. I don't think I could resist because I just loved what it offered. It was amazing. So, Jazon and the Dead is a top-down 3D action-adventure game. It combines intense action, puzzle solving, and an immersive player-driven story. So the game does have a story, but for the purpose of the demo, the developers actually created a different story to avoid spoilers, so that was kind of a bit of a good move there. The main story will basically involve Jazon waking up disoriented in the restroom of a bar without his memory. When he leaves the bar, he finds out the world is filled with zombies and scumbags, and it's basically Rick Grimes, but without the Rick Grimes. He has to travel the wasteland to figure out his past, and along the way he meets someone called Zoey, and together they visit this oracle in the mountains who foresees a prophecy leading them on an epic odyssey to save humanity from complete annihilation. So it's actually a pretty interesting sounding story from what I gathered. So the demo has shown that the characters so far are pretty cool and have fairly distinguishable personalities. It's dialogue rich as far as I could tell, and the interaction between the characters is amazing. It makes them feel and seem more alive and human-like. So that was something I actually really like, and I think will stand out if they can have that in the full game. It's got some decent humor as well that made me smile, which for me is actually pretty rare when it comes to games that actually try to do that.
What are you doing?
Can't you see I'm redecorating the lab?
Ha ha ha. No, seriously.
So the game does have a few features that they listed. If you're interested, it does have keyboard and controller support, but the developers actually highly recommend using a controller. It has a player-driven story where your choices have consequences, and this is something that really stands out for me. There's problem-solving intense situations, which involves, but is not limited to, using corpses as weights or to stand on to reach high places. It's a some very morbid puzzle solving there. You can fight your way through hordes of zombies with a heavy gun or a bloody fist. Ammunition is scarce, so you have to basically make every shot count. You explore a world inspired by 80s sci-fi B-movies. Your journey will take you through deserts, abandoned towns, underground caves, surviving cities, and military facilities. And apparently one of the features they advertise is a groovy 80s inspired soundtrack that sets the mood for each event you encounter. So my experience with the game so far has been pretty good. As you already know, I stated at the start, controls are nice, moving around feels good. The controls noticeably feel very similar to many other top-down shooters. It does lack a crosshair though, and this makes it a bit difficult to tell where you're aiming. It could also be seen as a little bit of a challenge for some, but an option in the menu to either turn it on or off would be more ideal. The action scene I encountered was pretty good. At first I thought, this isn't really intense, I can handle this, but then the ratio of ammo to zombies made me basically run away. The inventory system is very similar to The Walking Dead in that you can pick an item up and store them, but it's not like a bag or doesn't have any weight or anything to worry about, which is I kinda like the idea of that. It does require you to open the inventory if you need to use an item from it though. The problem solving I encountered seemed fairly good. They didn't require so much thinking that I wanted to walk away from the demo, but they weren't in your face kind of obvious. You sort of have to look around to figure things out. Hopefully this stays that way in the final game. I don't want them to make it too difficult. The more accessible the puzzles are, the better. From what I've played so far, I was impressed. I mean, this demo isn't a whole lot to go on though, so hopefully there'll be more demos here and there as they continue to develop the game. I would love to get a feel of what the Wasteland is going to offer and see some more in-depth gameplay, as well as seeing an open world. Although they didn't actually specifically mention it would be open world, it does sound like it will be, and hopefully it is. The visuals look great, the animations look really good, but most of all, I love the comic book cartoon art style they went with. It suits this type of game really well, and they incorporated it into the game really well. It does really well to convey a subtly unnerving and gritty vibe while remaining simple. The demo seems to perform fairly well. As far as I'd consider it, I'd say it's optimized well. I only noticed like a frame rate drop for a few seconds in the one action scene I encountered. Voice acting is surprisingly good. Like, I didn't expect the voice acting to be good, especially for a game I found on Game Jolt. Sound effects are nice, guns are nice and loud and complement the art style. Explosions make a really nice pounding sound. Zombies sound scary-ish, but they sound like typical zombies, which is good. Music is great, and like the sound effects, it also complements the art style, but adds an eerie feel to the game. Now moving on to the menu, which is pretty decent so far, but it does need some improvements. Keeping in mind this is not the final game, it is just a demo. I think it needs a lot more options. It doesn't seem like a very resource-hungry game, so video options wouldn't need to be that in-depth. But, something more for like audio and controls and things like that. The UI, the user interface, and the heads-up display of the HUD is very simple, it's clean, and easy to understand, so that was done really well. Hopefully we do get to see some more demos here and there. I would love to try out more. The developers do have a crowdfunding page set up, so you can look into that if you like. I'm not sure if it's still there. Editing me, you'll have to update us on whether that is during the editing phase. Because I recall when I checked it out, they didn't have very long left. Their budget wasn't all that high either, which is surprising considering, I mean, this looks like a pretty grade A quality game. I really like what I tried so far, and the developers seem to be bringing something really interesting to the table, so that's why I wanted to showcase this. I would highly recommend trying the game, if not at the very least. If you don't want to try it, or if you can't try it for whatever reason, share any information you can about it with your friends, family, local bakers, and more, because I can't wait to see what they finish. Links will be in the description for all the information about the game, links to download the game. I'll probably even pop in the crowdfunding if it's still active. But yeah, I think I'd like to thank Second Studio for letting me showcase this game. Thanks Second Studio, and thanks to Game Jolt for featuring this game. And I'd also like to thank each and every one of you for watching as well. If you did enjoy this video, if you think this is the kind of game you would like, let me know in the comments below. I'd like to know what you think about it. And as usual, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you in the next video.